Hey guys, it's GT here, and who better to have back on the program than the one and only Gerald Celente, the founder of the Trends Research Institute and the Trends Journal. Mr. Celente, welcome back.
Oh, thanks for having me back, Sean.
Sir, I want to start by saying, around the time of the Revolutionary War, we had patriots and truth-tellers like John Paul Jones, John Hancock, and Paul Revere, and today we have other men like Webster Griffin Tarpley, Alex Emmerich Jones, and Gerald Celente, sounding the alarm and speaking from the heart, and for that, I want to thank you. I also want to get an update on your life and what's happening with MF Global today. What can you tell us?
Well, with MF Global, I got about 68-70% of my money back, but it's a criminal operation, and it has nothing to do with MF Global. It's the whole financial system. It's whether you pick up the news and read about the black pools that they use in trading stocks, these high-frequency traders that are rigging the game or jumping into it at certain points to take advantage of it. The whole financial system is nothing more than one casino. There are no longer four seasons in America. It's only open season, and it's open season on every one of us. The whole game is rigged. I've said this before. If the names on Wall Street were named Celente, Caruso, Mondavi, Puccini, Rossini, they call it the mafia, and they'd have all of these TV shows like The Sopranos on, etc., and chastising what criminality it all is. And the message of this really is that if you don't own your money, if you don't have it in your pocket and in your possession, it's not yours. I don't care if it's in a bank. I don't care if it's with Raymond James, Charles Schwab. I don't care who it's with. If you don't have it, you don't own it. And so what you're seeing with the John Corzine MF Global fiasco is very clear. Have you seen this guy been brought up on charges for anything? No, nothing. You get caught stealing a chicken sandwich out of a 7-Eleven, they get you down on the ground. I'm not kidding. They have you down on the ground with handcuffs on you. They did it to a pregnant woman and her husband recently in Arizona.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So this is what's going on. The word justice is being spelled improperly. It's J-U-S-T-U-S, just us. There's no justice in this country. That's for kiddies. And you see it at every level. You see it at these war criminals. How come nobody's brought Bush or Cheney or the rest of the people that voted for this Iraq war up on war crime tribunal? We went there for fake reasons. There were no weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda. How come nobody's even looking into it? Boy, now you have the new strip law that if you get caught, with a inaudible bell on your bicycle and you mouth off a cop and they throw you in jail, spread your legs and bend over. The Supreme Court just said you could be strip searched. Oh, and by the way, all you Obama apologists, the Obama administration, the Solicitor General, was the friend of the court on this. So that's what's going on in this country.
You're always so fun to speak with because you're so passionate, and I don't know, it's early in the morning here, and I don't know where that passion is derived from. I think it derives from a place of truth, because only truth can spark such passion. So let me see if I have this straight. You're saying it's just us, and I 100% agree. They're going to arrest people for selling raw milk. But John Corzine, who reportedly transferred $200 million, in fact, explicitly ordered the transfer of those customer funds to cover his bad bet and to transfer that money over to J.P. Morgan. This is coming directly from Edith O'Brien, who has an October 28th memo stating just that. This was all done explicitly by John Corzine, purposefully by John Corzine. And John Corzine, Gerald, as far as I can tell, is still a free man.
He's a free man, and he's also one of Obama's biggest donors. He's raised something like $500,000, several $100,000, $35,000 a plate dinners he was holding for him. And he was the former governor of New Jersey, former senator of New Jersey, and former CEO of the Goldman Sachs gang. And they attribute it to sloppy bookkeeping. Come on, who are you kidding? Oh, they didn't know where they were getting $200 million from? What was it, in petty cash? They stole it out of accounts like mine. And I have all these imbeciles out there saying, oh, Celente deserves it. He was trading with MF Global. What kind of morons are they? I was buying gold for delivery, and I bought an April contract I was supposed to pick up in November. Now, that's all it was. So they don't know what they're talking about. And what they're doing is the people are covering up because they're getting screwed and they don't want to believe it. This country is, one of our employees, the operations manager at the Trends Journal, she's German. And a woman in her late 40s, and when she was about 16 years old, she said, she was very rebellious, and she was so angry at her parents and her grandparents. And she said to her grandmother, how come nobody stopped what was happening with Hitler? How come they didn't stop him from taking the Jews away? And the grandmother said to her, you don't understand. It wasn't one day that we woke up and all our rights were taken away from us. They took them away from us slowly. Mm-hmm. And then one day you couldn't speak out because if you spoke out, you were dead. Mm-hmm. And that's what's going on in this country. It's like a frog in boiling water. How much more do people need to have? First it was the Patriot Act. Now it's the National Defense Authorization Act. And then it was Obama's executive order giving El Presidente Los Estados Unidos the supreme right to call martial law at a potential threat. A potential threat. And then there's Big Bro over there, Attorney General Eric Holder, who just passed these guidelines that could let them listen into what we're saying right now, listen to you on your cell phone, watch every stroke of your keyboard, and they at, the White House could then determine whether or not the algorithms add up to you being a terrorist or a potential terrorist. Big Brother never had it so good. And by the way, the new Trends Journal is coming out at the end of this week. The cover, everyone could go to trendsjournal.com and see it. It's all aboard the Auschwitz Express. Kiss those calories goodbye. That's what's going on here. And the people don't see it, and they're afraid to speak up. I was at a party the other night telling them about the strip search and that the Obama Solicitor General, the Obama team was a friend of the court. The woman said, that's not true. I don't believe you. I said, then you're either calling me a liar, telling me I don't know what I'm talking about, or that I just made this up. So I don't believe it. And that's what's going on. People don't want to believe it.
Yeah, they don't want to believe it, and it's staring us in the face. Naomi Wolf warned us in a book called Letters of Warning to a Young Patriot about the 10 steps that every unfolding fascist dictatorship takes in order to implement their dictatorship, and we're seeing all of those. They're all established now. They're all in place. But I think people are waking up. Gerald, are you thinking that? Are you seeing that people are waking up?
Some people are. The majority aren't. You watch this election, by the way, I'm calling for a voters' strike.
Yeah, me too.
Anybody that votes for a lesser of two evils should be ashamed of themselves. How can they call themselves a respectable human being? By associating with a lesser of evil. So I'm calling for a voters' strike. And I believe that if we could get 40% or less of the people to go out and vote, we could call this vote illegitimate. Just as we have two illegitimate mobs running the country, the Republicans and the Democrats, a gang of 535 in total, telling 312 million people what to do, how to behave, how to act. How can anybody believe this presidential reality show? How can anybody look up to these lowlifes? This isn't a choice between a lesser of two evil. It will be the choice between a bigger of two stooges.
No, you're right. And my problem is that what we're seeing with the mainstream media is they completely ignore the Ron Paul revolution. When I say that I think people are waking up, I really want to cite the Ron Paul revolution as he rolls into California, and thousands of people show up to see him at Berkeley. When he rolls into Madison, Wisconsin, and thousands of people show up to see him, and the local media is mum on the fact that he was even in the state. What we're seeing is a duplicity and a overt attempt by the mainstream media to support the establishment and shut down the voice of the people. And that's the real outrage, Gerald, because people are waking up. People who support Ron Paul, they know what end the Fed means. That's a big deal.
They know it. And look, I agree. It could be changed. Of course, if I didn't believe it could be changed, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. But it's only going to change when people change, when the individual changes.
You're right.
So rely on the mainstream media is relying on going to McDonald's and nutritious food.
You're right.
So and my belief in the stage of life that I'm at now, nothing will change until the individual changes.